Studios. Welcome, Morgan. It's a real pleasure
Thank
to have
you.
you. Awesome.
Thank you.
And you're a speaker at our next seminar coming up next week. And in the conversation leading up to that, you said something really interesting that I want to find out more about. I basically heard you say that a designer's role is about managing and resolving tensions. Why do you say that?
Well, because design is an integrative practice, we bring together so much from organizations, both in terms of the experiences that citizens or customers have, but also how organizations bring things together to make those things possible. You know, a designer's work might bring together anything from an understanding of culture, policy, to safety processes. And whilst we might not be deep experts in each of those things, our role is to understand that we're facilitators of change, we're orchestrators, and we need to bring things together. And those different parts of how things happen in organization are, I guess, they're owned or they're managed by different departments who have different needs and different plans and different strategies. So designers are often discovering sometimes things that need to improve, or sometimes things that are actually really good. They're just not that closely related to other things. So there's a bit of a disconnect between those.
Mm-hmm. And what is it then that creates those tensions between the things that are not connected?
Well, one place to start is about how work works and incentives. So in organizations, often you have an overarching strategy or vision for what the organization needs to do. And then you break that down into many different departments who have their own priorities. And people are led, decisions are made, incentives are created. So it's quite possible that you could be in an extremely high performing department being led and encouraged to make particular decisions and do particular things that in the context of your department makes everything seem like you're doing all of the right things. But as part of that broader service experience that a citizen might have, your thing, even if it's good, might feel like the odd one out to them. Because from an external citizen or a customer perspective, like there's this assumption in mind, which is the organization must be talking and must have brought together all of the things required to deliver the getting my driving license or buying my online products. They assume that because you're a company, you're talking, but that's not always the case.
Interesting. So if we try to get really tangible on this, what are examples of these different tensions that designers are experiencing?
So there are a range, but I've got a few that I wanted to share because I think they're quite dear to designers. And actually, before I share the tensions, let me put something on the table. A designer is somebody who intentionally seeks out and unearths changes that need to be made. So whether or not you've got the word designer in your title or not, it's the intention to find change that usefully needs to be made and to facilitate the process of the bringing together and the taking on the journey so that changes can be made. So when I say designer, it's more about what you do rather than about what you're called. So here are some examples of tensions. So the starting point is outputs and outcomes. So an output might be a journey map or a document that helps bring together what was learned in a project. These things are important. Perhaps more important is why you needed to have that output. And you might have in mind that your project, the outcome you're looking for is to make a really important strategic decision based on a deep understanding of what citizens need and want. And that frames the project really differently compared to we need to have 3 journey maps at the end. One is about a focus on output and one is about a focus on outcome. Framing is important in design. why we're here is important, because it takes you on a journey to getting what you really want. And if you say at the beginning, what we want is maps, that's what you'll get. If you say what we're looking for is an informed strategic decision, then that's what you'll get. And designers experience this tension, and it's like, but where's the thing, the output? And the designer might be thinking, but aren't we doing this because you want a strategic decision? So there's a little bit of an imbalance sometimes. So some of the other things that our tensions are about being busy in the work and having the time to reflect on it, on the dance floor or on the balcony, and making sure that designers have reflective practice built in. Sometimes the imbalance or the tension is because we're operating at different levels of Zoom. So at the highest level of Zoom, a designer might be saying, hey, we need to know just enough about the moving parts in order to understand how we orchestrate the whole company to come together and deliver something. But you might have a stakeholder who wants you to know everything about the smallest detail of the thing that sits within their job. So not being clear about what level of Zoom you're operating at can create tensions, because some will want to tell you lots of details, whereas you'll want to keep yourself nice by having lots of little important things, the high level, so you can operate at that more strategic level. And there are many more, but come to the session because there's more.
I love how you were really specific on the two tensions that I think resonate really viscerally, like one around framing and the different expectations around framing, and then the other is the level of Zoom, not just that you are asked to take, but that you sometimes can realistically take, right? Arguably, there are probably two tensions that define most of our practice. I then wonder, how do you suggest we manage some of those tensions?
So one of the things that really works for designers is to make to learn. So tensions are kind of in all these invisible forces that move around our organizations. And one of the things that designers do really well is they make the invisible visible. So they take what is intangible and make it tangible. So building things, sketching things that actually help us to see the tensions, so that we can and others can have oh, I see what you mean about the tensions. So getting to the point of managing and resolving tensions to have confidence starts with us having a newfound appreciation of them, not to scare ourselves, but so that we can see the landscape. So prototyping, describing, designing is really important. So we can see and go, now I see. Now I've got a place to work from.
Yeah, cool. So what you're saying, if I hear you right, what you're saying is that visualizing some of those tensions is super important to help move beyond them. Is that right?
Yeah. So many moons ago, somebody said something to me, which is that when we say things, it's like a kind of an inverted pyramid. At the top, when we say things, it's like there's quite a lot of opportunity for things to be taken in all sorts of ways, to be interpreted or misinterpreted. But if we write things, the pyramid's getting narrower, so the chance of interpretation is getting smaller and smaller. But if we draw or make visual things, people have that, oh, I see what you mean moment. So it's important that designers talk about the tensions, write about them, because that gets it out of our brains, and then we can see what we really think. But to visualize it takes us to that next place of, I get it. It's spoken of, it's written, and now I literally see it. I can understand it, and now I can work from there.
Is our goal a tension-free environment?
No, I think there are good tensions, there are good frictions. If we all thought the same, believed the same things, we'd be a very boring bunch. So the role of the designer, as I was kind of saying earlier, which is this notion of an integrative bringing together discipline is to bring together difference from our customers and citizens, from our internal stakeholders, and create the space where the diversity of thought and opinion can be included and worked with at just the right level of heat that it creates newness and growth and transition, not so hot that it boils over, and not so cool that, well, nothing gets cooked.
Yeah, nice. So what I then hear you saying, Morgan, is that it's not about removing all the tensions or creating like a tension-free environment, but around creating a pathway through or forward. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's that word facilitation comes with it this thing around sensing and responding and being able to see that what we're creating is a really dynamic thing and different for every project and different for every organization, which is a reason why designers need to be able to be in the work and to make time for the reflecting on it so they can see their part in enabling tensions that are useful or maybe less useful.
What does that point look like at which we can move forward? What is that enough?
So this notion of, from a personal and professional perspective, I think that design is one of these things that helps us to find out enough that we can make good decisions. And it's an important kind of observation because enough is the key word here rather than objective or phrases like hard data. It's when the people who need to make the decisions have been on the same journey and been in the same conversations and they see the same things as others. So there's a shared understanding of what is known about, for example, a group of citizens and their needs, and they reach the decision point at the same time. And they're able to say, based on what we've observed, based on what we've seen, now we're in a position to move forward. Because we've had the conversations, we've seen the research, we've been out as scribes on interviews. Because sometimes the not moving forward is about the fact that people are in different places. They're 3 steps back in the journey. These people have gone ahead. These people are in a different journey with different incentives. So getting confidence to move ahead despite the tensions isn't to say there's a perfect landing point where all of the ducks are lined up and the pigs are flying, but rather we're all at that same place with a shared understanding of what we know. And then we can make a decision about moving forward.
I feel like that is the holy grail of every designer's sort of journey when it comes to works, to come to that place. And I think you're going to be sharing a few more tools with us during the seminar that will help us get there. What do you think are maybe the top 2 or 3 takeaways people can expect to get out of the seminar when they come and join us?
So one is that with paper and pen, you can sit yourself down and have really powerful self-conversations to say, who am I and where am I at in design? So reflection for design is incredibly important, but getting the ball rolling needn't take forever. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to show you a series of exercises which are paper and pen, easy to remember. As a starting point, don't take a heap of time. So the big message is you can do reflection and you do already have time to build it in. And here's some really practical things that can help bring that to life. The second thing about paper and pen is that the act of putting paper to pen and doing it without overthinking it means we often access the things that are on the tips of our tongue and then just behind the kind of everyday thought in our brain, and it brings them to life. So expect to have some experiences of looking at yourself and sharing, but also expect to see some tools that are so blindingly simple and easy to operate that even without kind of taking screenshots, you can walk away and find a quiet spot and a piece of paper and a pen and just go, I saw this thing, let's do it together.
That is awesome, Morgan. I'm, for one, I'm really excited about the seminar. I hope all of you watching us today or joining us today are too, because this is our very first LinkedIn Live, and we're going to give away 10 free tickets. So if you are watching, look in the comments, and one of my colleagues, Sarah Jaros, will post a discount code into the comments. Use that to grab your ticket with Morgan in a couple of weeks' time on the 17th of February. That's when the seminar is at noon New Zealand time or 10 a.m. Australian time. And the code is valid until tonight midnight. So that would be amazing to see some of you there. Thank you so much for your time, Morgan. It's been a real pleasure hearing more about your amazing thinking around managing tensions at work for designers. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
You're welcome, and I look forward to the session. It's going to be good. I wish I could come to New Zealand for it, but at least I can still connect with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.